सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Haribol! Good morning. Good afternoon. Good all of that. Good. It's almost Christmas, guys. Tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for Germany. Day after tomorrow for the States and whoever else celebrates on the 25th. Happy holidays. Merry Chrysler. Merry Christmas. Sorry, guys. Too much social media. So, speaking of social media, speaking of distractions, speaking of rabbit holes, this is what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I'm coming out of the closet here, guys. Bear with me. So, it's been very interesting committing to my rounds every morning. And it's been very interesting sort of observing myself while chanting, observing my mind. And if I wasn't somewhat practiced in this, I would be super discouraged. And there's always the potential there to be discouraged. Because the moment Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare comes out of my mouth, not but a millisecond after Hare, my brain starts. My brain starts, and it is everywhere. It is a whole kindergarten with candy in a candy store with no parents around. That's what it's like. That's how disturbed my mind is and how crazy it is. And it's actually almost shocking if you're really observing and you're literally just observing and watching it without judgment, just watching it. It's like I said, at any other time, I would be super discouraged. However, I did get Hare out without one thought. Hare! And that's the start. That's the start. Some days it's better. It's never good, but some days it's better. And I don't even want to, actually, let me erase the word good. It's never undisturbed. But sometimes less disturbed than other times. And I don't really know where the road is going. I don't know if I'm going to be a good, an undistracted chanter or a distracted chanter for the rest of my life. But what I do know is that I've made the decision to trust the process. And I think for me, that is the most important thing. I've made a decision to trust the process. I haven't made a decision to chant 16 rounds yet. I have made a decision to chant my minimum rounds, which are 4. It usually is about 4 to 6 rounds a day. That's where I'm at this year. Last year it was 2 rounds. The year before that it was 16 rounds. It fluctuates. So before I make a commitment, I need to be practiced, and I need to practice that decision that I've made. You know, getting initiated into the Sampradaya, I take very, very seriously. I spent a lot of years trying to figure out how I can get initiated without having to chant my 16 rounds. It's ridiculous. Today I know when I commit to the process, my distractions, the possibility of my distractions becoming less are high. They almost become probabilities. So, continuing doing what I'm doing is really important. And I thank you, Kastuba. I'm going to give you a shout out. Not that you ever listen to my podcast, but thank you for centering me in that way. I'm also really sort of observing. And this is sort of maybe some of the first times in my life that I observe what's going on within myself without reacting. And I'm also observing I wouldn't say grappling, I can't say that, but I would say, and I wouldn't even say struggles, I would just say how do I say it? I guess the puzzle, putting together the pieces of the puzzle of what it means to be a Gaudiya Vaishnav. And not only what it means, how do I get there? And what am I willing to trust? How am I willing to trust this process? The funny thing is when I got into the program, I didn't have a doubt at all. Well, actually, let me wind back on that. That's not true. When I first got in the program, because I wasn't willing to surrender to the disease of my addiction, I couldn't get the program. I didn't understand the program. I didn't understand how a meeting and having association and fellowship could help me in any way whatsoever, except for maybe just a small part of, yeah, you understand. And that's it. But the profound, after I surrendered, it took me 8 years coming in and out of the program to surrender. But when I did surrender, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that if I followed this program to the best of my ability, my life would get better. Not only would I quit drinking and drugging, I would also be free from the bondage of my addiction. And I would come to know a life better than I've ever known in my entire life. Free from the bondage of the false self. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I walked that walk. And I did everything I was told without a question, with 100% belief that this will work. And it did. And so I find myself in Krishna consciousness, not having that 100% Überzeugung in German, which means convinced, or I wouldn't say convinced, that's the wrong word as well. I don't trust. I don't know if I trust the process. And you know why? It's because maybe I'm not completely schooled on it, or that I'm not completely surrendered, right? And it's probably both. I need to spend a couple more years growing in this business of Krishna consciousness. I need to spend a couple more years of chanting. I need to spend a couple more, fact is, I've been in it, 8 years? 7 years? Since 2017? I don't know. How many years is that? 17? 7 years. And there are moments where I think, I got it now. And then it goes away real quick. Because I'm right back into being distracted. When will I fully surrender? When? When will I fully surrender? It is so important. It is the lifeline of my spiritual life. There is no other lifeline. So what is it that I do? I stay in contact with other devotees. I believe at least that another devotee is completely convinced, and I watch what they did in order to get there, and I imitate them. You know, my choices aren't really that vast. I might think in my highly complex brain that I've got lots of choices here. But actually, if I'm really right down to the nitty-gritty basics, my choice is Maya. Engaging in the material sense enjoyments, engaging in those things in life, in the material world around me, relishing them, keeping them all for me, or giving it all to Krishna in the service of Krishna. Those are my two choices in my life, for me. I'm not telling it for you. You guys have to decide what it is that you want to do with your life and your spiritual path, but that's mine. And I want to get there. I want to be able to do that. I'm sorry if it's getting loud. I'm by a bunch of waterfalls. So, being steadfast. And what can I do? What can I do to have more faith? You know, I have to let go of my control issues. I'm controlling. And the reason why I'm controlling is because I'm terrified of being hurt. I'm terrified of being vulnerable. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to trust somebody in this process and have them disappoint me, hurt me. I don't want to be gentle, because the gentle and the meek shall get stepped on in this material world. I'm not saying that this is what I think. These are my thoughts. Subconsciously. I have a fear of letting go. I have a fear of letting go those walls that I've built so high to keep you out. Because you are part of this world and you are part of the problem. And what I fail to know and what I fail to recognize is I am the problem. It's me. It's my perceptions, how I receive things. It's me. And yes, there are people out in the world where it is them, of course. But if I'm hurt, it's because I'm hurt. I take offense. I've somehow been conditioned, whether it's conscious or unconscious, in this world, in this life or last, that being vulnerable and being open and trusting another human being does nothing but hurt me, which is so far from the truth. Letting go of that control, surrendering myself. Because if I really did have faith in Krishna 100%, then every person who comes into my life or hurts me or doesn't hurt me or I'm open to or not open to, every single person is Krishna's will for me. I just need the power to carry that out. It's so clear, yet so far away. It's clear, but I'm in a glass. I'm behind a glass. I'm under a glass like a bug, trying to be able to see, but not trying to get there. Trying to get there, but can't get there. Man. Sometimes it's like the answer's there. What do they say about, I never even really like this analogy, but it's a great analogy. You got honey in a jar. You can see the honey. You can even imagine what the honey tastes like. But until you really open that jar and spoon out that honey and taste that honey, you're not going to really know what that is. You can only speculate. And I know this for a fact. If I don't give up control, thinking that I'm the controller, that I'm protecting, if I don't give up those traits, those character traits of mine, if those aren't given up, I will never be able to surrender. This is the truth. This is the truth that I'm faced with. This is the truth that I try to avoid at times, or go full force into it. You know, thank God I'm 56 years old and mature enough to know that I'm mature enough not to know. You get it? I think my whole life is trying to figure out how my heart can be completely open up to the love of God, to serve that love, and know that Krishna is protecting me every single step of the way. To have that trust, I crave for that, because I know when that trust is there, so many things will open up to me if I can accept. Used to be on page 69, right? Or 169, the big book. Acceptance is the key to all my troubles and all my problems today. If I find something today in my life that is unacceptable to me, I can find no peace. Something in my life, my brain, my situation, a person, a place, a thing, if it's unacceptable to me, then I am not equipoised. So that's where I'm at, guys. That's the God honest truth. And I search for people who are like-minded. I hang on to the people who have walked this path longer and more efficient than I. And that's the direction I'm going. And everything in between. I'm watching the river now. You might be able to hear it in the background. But I'm watching the river now. There's like this, it's not really a waterfall, but it's like where all rocks are collected and the water goes hard through those rocks. So it makes a waterfall sound. And I see how those rocks, they're just standing there and the water is flowing. And it's so symbolic of how stubborn I am, because that water is like God's love for me, and I'm just standing there. At some point, those rocks will also get turned into sand. They are fallible as I am. And I can only pray and hope and do what I can do to better myself, so that if I am, and I believe I am, going to be reincarnated again, that my life will be less disturbing to me. And I just wanted to finish up with one thing. Life is not just disturbing. There's also so many beautiful things that happen in life. I don't want to paint everything black here. And finding that mix, finding that perfect flow, being a raft on the water of God. Oh my God. Anyway, I love you guys. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think next week I'll be already in India. So either you'll be hearing from me from India or on this walk. I can't do math. The 3rd of January I'm flying. So after that you'll be hearing from me from India. I also want to say one more thing. Our fundraising for the Bhakti Recovery Group becoming a nonprofit organization has ended. It ended yesterday. And we raised enough money for the legal costs of becoming that NPO, nonprofit organization, which is 32 people have donated. And I thank each and every one of you who've donated. And I will be doing another fundraising, this time not on PayPal, because I don't think everybody had a good time with the PayPal. So I will be doing it on a GoFundMe or something similar. If anyone has any tips of what's a good fundraising portal, I don't know what you call it in English, let me know and I'll use it. I wish you all a very happy holiday. I wish you all peace, the willingness to surrender, and the steadfastness to practice what it takes to get there. And we'll talk soon. Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.